Welcome to Hidden Voices, the podcast series which explores the less heard voices in health and social care. I'm Sharon and I work for Healthwatch Essex. It's our job to make sure that people's experiences help to improve health and social care services. In this episode, we're talking to Graham and Kaurina, who are both public information reps for Al-Anon, which is an organisation supporting anyone who is affected by someone else's drinking. Graham and Kaurina, thank you for coming along today and joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Graham, I'll start with you, as we met first, didn't we, on our journey with Al-Anon.
Absolutely.
Are you able to tell me a little bit about the organisation for people that don't know about it?
Yeah, well, Al-Anon was set up some 75 years ago, sort of on the back of AA, which is obviously Alcoholics Anonymous. And we're there to support friends and families of problem drinkers. And it is my sort of role to try and raise the awareness of Al-Anon and how it has evolved over the years. We have weekly meetings. We have over 700 meetings in the UK. And now with online as well, we have over 130 online meetings as well. And it's trying to bring people together to share their experience of how they're living with their alcoholic. Now, most people come to our meetings after calling our helpline. And when they arrive at the meetings, their primary aim, or certainly mine was to find how to stop my alcoholic drinking. That was what my goal was, so I arrived. But on arriving at the meeting, they suggested I go to 6 meetings. Well, after the first meeting, I didn't think this was for me because they were saying things that's all about my recovery. And my recovery would be fine if my alcoholic stopped drinking. So that was just my primary goal.
And that's the key difference here, isn't it? Al-Anon is purely for those affected by problem drinking, not for those with that issue themselves.
That's correct. And that for every problem drinker, we estimate there's at least 5 other people affected. So, and that can be extremely traumatic, the way they're having to live with an alcoholic. And there's different sorts of alcoholic as well. You've got the top-up drinker who gets up in the morning and puts a little bit of gin, vodka or whatever on their cornflakes. And then you've got the secret drinker, which that was my particular alcoholic, which was my wife. And then you've got the binge drinker, and talking to a lot of alcoholic recovery services, that's the hardest one, the binge drinker, to actually help, because they don't drink for months and you think, wow, they're not a problem drinker.
And many people don't realise that these are the different ways that problem drinking manifests. There's quite a set view of an alcoholic per se, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And doing this public information work, I actually had one local parish council, when I rang them up asking them to display some posters, they informed me that they don't have any alcoholics in their parish, and if they did, they would call the police. So their problem thoughts on a problem drinker is some poor guy sitting on a park bench. And that's not to say they don't need help, they definitely do, but usually they're homeless for a reason, and maybe because they've just not been able to live with their families because of their drinking. So it's a real challenge that we've got out there. I even spoke to quite a prominent politician. I won't mention their name to embarrass them, but they thought we were linked to Al-Qaeda, which is
a terrorist
organisation. Yeah. So the perception of Al-Anon is just something that I'm passionate about, trying to sort of raise the awareness. Is Al-Anon right for everybody? The honest answer is no. But at the end of the day, that by going to a meeting and just sharing your experiences and hearing other people's experiences helped me put me on the right road to dealing with my alcoholic. Because we did believe that changed attitudes can aid recovery, and it certainly, in my view, did help me in my environment with my wife, which was, just chaotic.
So just going back to those different types of problem drinking,
Yeah.
I think it might be quite interesting for some people. You mentioned about people topping up in the mornings, quite high functioning alcoholics.
Yeah. Then you've got the secret drinker, which was, as I say, my wife, and she used to hide her drink. So when I found out that alcohol was a problem, because I initially thought it was a sleeping disorder, to be honest. When I found it was alcohol, my passion was to go and search for bottles. And that's what I did. Every night when she had comatosed herself into the chair, being totally drunk and out of this world, my view was, right, let's go and find the bottles. And I think if they make an Olympic event out of bottle hunting, I'd probably get into that team quite easily. But then going to Al-Anon, one member just turned around to me and said, "Oh, you feel better for finding the bottles?" Well, when I sort of left to drive home that night, I thought, idiot, do I feel better for finding the bottles? Of course I don't. And of course, what did I do as soon as I walked in the door? I started to search for bottles. So,
But did that searching ever make a difference?
No, of course it didn't. But at the time I thought it did, because then I could challenge my alcoholic that you've been drinking. Well, she knew that and I knew that. So it wasn't, it's just a pointless exercise, really.
But it's understandable why people want to rescue, to save the problem drinker.
Absolutely. But when they said it was all about my recovery, again, I thought they were idiots, because, if my alcoholic stopped drinking, then that would solve all the problems. But when I realised that alcoholism was an illness, that changed my attitude, because if somebody had said my wife had cancer, would I have treated her and given her the verbal abuse that I gave her? The honest answer is no. So I started to have something that I hadn't thought I'd lost, but I had, was compassion. And I started to take my foot off the accelerator pedal by constantly just nagging and moaning at her for drinking. I decided to sort of just look after myself and make sure I was okay, because if I wasn't okay, then she wasn't going to stand a cat and hell's chance of sort of recovery. So that's the second one. And as I say, the binge drinker is the hardest one. I know quite a few people who've found recovery from binge drinking, but it's really difficult because they don't drink for months and they just go on a bender for 2 or 3 days.
And quite hard for them to accept that it's a problem as well, I guess, because they don't drink for so long.
That's very true. But also finding Al-Anon was because my alcoholic was in denial. Most addicts are in denial. Oh, I can give this up any time. I'm a past smoker, so I know that, and I'd always tell people, "Oh yeah, I can give up. Just a wink of an eye, I can give up." Of course you can't, and the alcoholic couldn't either. But it was wrong for me to sort of try and pressurise them to find their recovery, because that was their path. All I could try and do when I found Al-Anon and they gave me the tools, if you like, to deal with my alcoholic, by doing that, it gave me the strength to actually deal with them. And we talk about detaching with love, and that's what I was able to do. That's not just detaching and saying, right, I'm throwing you out of the house or anything like that. It's detaching with love and understanding that they're going through a difficult illness, and just to try and be there for them, but also do it the right way. There was times when she found an organisation, a local one called Open Road, which were fantastic. The counsellor that looked after her, there was times she came in from work and just said, "Do you know, I'm too tired. Can you give my counsellor a ring and say that I'm not coming?" Well, I'd just say no. If you don't want to go, that's fine. It's not my decision. It's yours. If you want to go, then that's fine. Just really, and you do it because it's your journey. I can't.
It's that stopping rescuing, which is against natural instincts, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. But then by doing that, gave her the responsibility and the dignity to deal with her addiction the right way, and the right way for her to deal with it. I don't know, I can't write it down that my changed attitude helped her recovery, but in my heart, that's what I think happened. I think she came to me and out of the blue and just said, "I think I've got a problem." And prior to Al-Anon, I'd have been down her throat shouting at her saying, "Of course you've got a problem, I've been telling you that for years." But I didn't. I said, "Okay, well, what are you going to do about it?" And she found her own path. So that was just really important for me. And I think it was very important for our relationship as well. So that's how I find that.
Kaurina, you've got your own lived experience.
I have. So mine comes from a different angle. Unfortunately, every alcoholic story is so painful for family members. But mine was actually my daughter. I didn't know she was an alcoholic. She'd had an eating disorder, and that sort of went on through quite a lot of her life, and I couldn't face it, and I don't think I was ready to face it. So for me, I didn't know, or I was in denial of it actually happening. I just thought we drank as a family. I didn't know the extent to what she was going through. And what had happened was that it all came out, and I just found out through her, expressing what's going on. And yeah, it was a shock. It was a real shock. The lies, the deception. But my instant reaction was to scream, to shout, because I didn't know it was going on, or my denial didn't allow me to accept what was going on. I felt it was me. I was very busy with work, so I felt I wasn't around to notice what was actually happening.
And that's an important point, isn't it? There's a lot of self-blame,
Yes,
and
yes,
guilt
exactly,
for those that are supporting and living with problem drinkers.
Totally. And I was at my wit's end. In the end, she went to rehab, and she was there for a month. And I still was like, it's not alcohol, there's something else going on. And when she came out, I thought we're all solved. And there was ongoing therapy for families of alcoholics. And from there, I found out about Al-Anon. And I hadn't heard of it before. And in fact, I confused it with AA. And a lot of people do confuse it with AA. They don't know what we are, but we're actually Al-Anon family groups. So that is actually, what we're called. And I turned up, and I was so relieved to be with people that got me, because I turned up there to fix my daughter, and I turned up there to sort of stop her from, picking up a drink again. And I wanted that traditional instruction manual or checklist. But when I got there, I realised that I've got to work on myself, and I was just like, me, I'm fine, And from that point, I really have had to look at myself and see my part in the whole process. I've had to discover myself. Like, a lot of AA members are a little bit dubious about Al-Anon and think that we're talking about them, and but actually it is about looking at yourself. And this is what I had to do. I had to check what I was doing wrong. And I would tell all my problems to the whole world. I would dump them on anyone who would listen. I was controlling. I would manipulate her to do what I wanted. And not just with her, my other children. So, the benefits of coming to Al-Anon for me has taught me to be a better parent. I thought I was doing a fantastic job. In fact, I thought I caused it because I was so busy at work. But in Al-Anon, there's a slogan that's at 3 C's. You can't cure it, control it, and we didn't cause it. And I thought I did. As I said, I used to spill all my problems onto other people, whoever. If you were at a bus stop, I'd just tell you what's going on, because I just wanted people to listen to my problems. I have got all the problems in the world. And when I started talking to my friends and people about this problem that I had with my daughter, the look on their face, they were just shocked. And I thought, oh, maybe this is a little bit too much for you to take. But the beauty of coming to Al-Anon is that you're in a circle of people who understand what you're going through without saying anything.
But it is really important to be heard for those that are are caring, isn't it?
And that's it, because when I first went, I would just still carry on talking, and all these people looked happy, and I was just like, their problems can't be as bad as mine. But they've learned to look at themselves and use the tools of Al-Anon that allows you to look after yourself. And that's what I can say has happened. In Al-Anon, I believe that I have to be okay whether the alcoholic is still drinking or not, if they make it or not. I've got other children, I've got a husband, I've got family. I still have to be okay. I still have to get out of bed. I still have to, have quality of life, even though loved ones are not okay. And that is taking a lot of work still today.
It's a very hard thing to achieve,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because we naturally want to save them.
Yeah, and as a mother, the first natural instinct is to save your family, save your daughter, save your son, protect them from, suffering, cover up for them, make sure they're okay. But actually, if I'm not allowing my daughter to have the dignity to actually find her own way and find recovery on her own pathway, wherever that is meant to be, maybe, maybe not, then I'm not allowing her to learn herself. I mean, for me, I know that if I'm told to act in a certain way, I won't do it. But if I've experienced it and I've hit rock bottom and things aren't working and I've learned that myself, I'm more likely to work on myself. And I think that is the biggest take I've had from Al-Anon. Yeah, so...
No, I was going to say, I can see why it's challenging, because in a way, the key here with both of your stories seems to be about giving some control back to the alcoholic. And it's against nature, because you kind of feel, well, they're out of control, I need to do things for them.
Yeah.
But actually the key is giving them more choices, more control of their own path.
Exactly, because they believe that they've learnt it. I mean, that is it. The key is if you've experienced something and it's not working, you'll try a different path. And even today, I sort of feel like, oh, she's not going to meetings, is everything okay? But like now I've got this network, I can call my sponsor, I can call somebody to sort of keep me back on track, and just say, be quiet, leave her to it, it's her journey. And the support with Al-Anon is immense. I've met such wonderful people on my path. And yeah, I've been working the steps myself, and that's the beauty, I think, of Al-Anon, that we work the AA steps ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And
what does that mean, Kaurina?
So there are 12 steps, and the first step is to admit you're powerless over alcohol and that your life has become unmanageable. And the Al-Anon people work through that and realise they can't control the alcoholic. And to be honest with you, I use that on all aspects of life, with people, places, things. Because coming to Al-Anon, I've realised that I've been affected by alcoholism as a child within my family. So, and today, one of my siblings drinks as well. I can see how alcohol has really impacted me growing up. And I am kind of that way inclined. I'm very sensitive. I'm very, and also controlling, and, all of these things, low self-esteem, belief that I'm not enough, and searching for validation from whether I'm a successful mother, whether I'm a successful daughter, wife. Perfectionism is is really one of my sort of ailments. I do want everything to be perfect, so I feel in control. And really, I'm not. I'm powerless over whatever is coming my way.
Your level of sort of self-knowledge there and emotional intelligence is clearly very high. Do you feel that that's directly because of involvement with Al-Anon?
Yes, 100%. And working the steps. I was very much in denial. So I think I mentioned my part in it. I was really keen to believe that it's everybody else's fault and I'm okay. It's others. And coming to Al-Anon has given me the opportunity to actually write my life story, actually see where I felt so much self-pity and so much blame on other people. It takes two to cause hurt or cause an argument and disruption. And I've had to look at my part in all of that. And that has been painful because I'm so sensitive. So for me, I took it as criticism at first. But speaking to my sponsor, she sort of slowly drip fed me, and it slowly sunk in that actually looking at my part in problems or in resentments that I have actually give me power to change things, because I don't want to feel like that again. I don't want to feel that pain or that blame, self-blame or hurt or victimization. I want to feel free of that, and the only way I can do that is check, hang on, what could I have done differently? I actually was quite controlling there, or I was interfering in something that didn't belong to me. I've been manipulative. You know, I can actually look at myself and go, I'm not doing that anymore. Back off. And that self-awareness, you know, is allowing me to explore that and live a different life. I feel very fortunate, and it's sad. I mean, obviously, I wish my daughter wasn't an alcoholic, but I feel very blessed that I have come to Al-Anon. I feel very lucky. I'm on step 6 now, and I think in Al-Anon we work the steps a lot more slower, and it's a little bit more of a gentle program. The desperation in AA itself is it's life or death. So the steps are moved through a lot faster pace. But for Al-Anon, it's a little bit more sensitive. It's slower, and you work them when you're ready to do so. And it's a gentle program.
Sounds like an amazing community that's happening in these groups. Are you happy, Graham, to sort of give us a bit of an idea of what a group meeting looks like?
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's we've got a chairperson that sort of hosts the meeting, so you come in and everybody's welcome. Welcome to the whatever group it is, and then anonymity is really important from our perspective, not only to protect the person at Al-Anon, but also their alcoholic, because we don't know what their environment is. They could be quite a senior person in government or whatever. So we need to protect anonymity. So they go around the room and they only ask for people's first names. And when they give the first name, we don't even know if that's true. But we don't care, because all we care about is looking after those people in that room and everybody in the rooms. I started going in 2008, and as I say, when I first went in the rooms, I was unaware of anonymity. So I gave my first name, my surname, my address, postcode, and if somebody said, "Can I have your PIN number?" they'd have given me that as well. But I realised that people need to protect their anonymity, and some people aren't happy to share. They just want to sit there and listen. I've been to groups where people haven't shared for years, and that's fine too, because at the end of the day, for me it was important to share, but I also wanted to sort of unburden myself, because unlike my good friend here, I couldn't tell anybody. It was bottling up. My kids had left home, so I couldn't tell them. They'd ring and say, how's mum? And I say, oh, she's not great today. You know, maybe she needs to go and see the doctor. But I'd never go into alcohol, because I was ashamed. I was ashamed that I couldn't do anything about it. My friends, my work colleagues, everything else, it was just me that knew. Nobody else knew. And I was an enabler as well. You know, prior to finding out it was alcohol, I'd be buying her a drink. If she was too drunk to go into work the following day, I'd ring up I'd say, oh, sorry, she can't come in today. She's very poorly. She's got a migraine, or some blooming excuse. I'd come over. I'd be lying. So alcohol was affecting me, and I wasn't even drinking. So, as I say, with the meetings, they usually have a topic list, and I did one the other week about one day at a time, because that's one of the things about trying to live with an alcoholic, is just coping with it on a one day at a time basis. So they have a topic and it's discussed, and people share on that topic or anything else they want to share on. And some of the newcomers, all they're interested in sharing is, my alcoholic was drunk again today. Well, that's fine, but when they go after 6 meetings, they suddenly start to realise, and I've seen people come to meetings and you can actually see the change in how they're dealing with their alcoholic, and you just feel that by being a member of a group, you're in a safe place. Nobody will judge you. Nobody will turn around and get their magic finger out saying you should be doing this or you should be doing that. I came there looking for judgment. I wanted people to tell me what I was doing wrong. I wanted advice on how to deal with my alcoholic. I didn't get that. I learnt that through how other people were dealing with things and how sharing their successes and their failures, and just knowing that people were there for me. And at the end of the meeting, you know, suddenly somebody come up and just give me a hug, and I thought, oh, are you feeling okay? And sometimes I say, no, I'm not, but I could say that in that room rather than anywhere else, because I couldn't share with anybody else. I still couldn't share with my family, my kids, even after going to Al-Anon. And it's only when my wife came out and from her denial phase to say that she had a problem, and then she told kids, and they gave me so much grief for that, not sharing it with them, and probably quite rightly so. But as I say, I was just ashamed, and it was just an embarrassment that I was living an alcoholic and I couldn't do anything about it.
It sounds like the family, the realisation came with your wife's disclosure, and then did that change the family dynamic, how you worked together?
Yes, I think it did. But as I say, initially they gave me an awful lot of grief about not sharing with them and just keeping it bottled up. But I'd released my bottling up by going to Al-Anon meetings, being able to sort of share that experience with strangers. And it seems bizarre to do that, but as I say, I wasn't judged. And in the wider community, I struggled to share, but because I was waiting to be judged, and I didn't want to be judged. I wanted to sort of help my wife through that process, but it had to be on her terms, not mine, because she was trying to overcome this addiction, and it's not an easy thing to overcome. It's not something a lot of people, when I spoke to them about addictions now, talk to them quite readily about addictions. Oh, well, they should just give up drinking. Well, I wish life was that simple, but it isn't.
It's extremely complex, isn't it?
It is extremely complex, and different things work for different people. AA is a fantastic organisation. It works for loads and loads of people. I've met loads of AA members. And when you go into an AA meeting, it says, "My name is George and I haven't drunk for 25 years. Well, and I'm a recovering alcoholic." Because all those people are just one drink away from being an alcoholic again. So I've got the utmost respect for alcoholics, whether they've found recovery or they're maybe still searching for it. And anything I can do to support them, I will. But I also know that the effects it has on the family and friends of problem drinkers, and just know that if I can share my experiences with them. I don't live in an alcoholic environment now, but if I can just share those experiences, and somebody just says, "Oh, that's an idea, I'll try that," and if it works for them, that's great. And if they always say at the end of the meeting, take what you like and leave the rest. And there's things people say in meetings, you think, you just shake your head, that ain't right. But they're entitled to just sort of offload, if you like.
And there's also no pressure in the meetings if you don't want to speak.
No, absolutely. If they, as I say, people have been into meetings and they go for years, and they just sit there and listen. They'll give their name at the start of the meeting, and they won't hear a word from them at the end. But maybe they'll disclose that with other members when they having their cup of tea and biscuit, which our group does chocolate, so
A tub of celebrations.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, or heroes. But anyway, yeah. So that's the general format of the meeting. People just share their stories, and as I say, when people are new to the meeting, their whole focus on their share is how to stop their alcoholic drinking. But when they realise it's all about their own recovery, I say a lot of tears are shed at times, but that's fine too. It's just allowing people to know that we were there for them, as they were there for me when I was going through my nightmare.
The impact, as you just alluded to, with your own children on the wider family and friends is really significant, isn't it?
Yeah.
How would you say that sort of manifested for you, Kaurina?
Yeah, the biggest thing I found is that I wanted my whole family to go to Al-Anon. And I think that started to become my obsession. You need to, and I know when I say you need to, I'm in trouble. So Al-Anon's taught me not to do that, and I had to even let everybody at home deal with it, because obviously it was the siblings and my husband, her dad. How was he going to manage it all? Because it was a shock to all of us. We all didn't know what was going on. But they say by one member going to Al-Anon, it has a ripple effect. So everybody starts to see, hang on a minute, she's not panicking this time. What's going on there? How's she speaking to her? She's not having a go at her. And yeah, I've really seen that happen. And it was quite good, because at the beginning, when my daughter was going to AA, we'd be speaking the same language. And, she's even said to me recently, we were in the car and she was saying, what shall I do? What shall I do? Because normally I save the day, I've got my cape on and, I'm fixing the day. And because of Al-Anon, I've just had, you do what you feel is best. and it was like, you're so Al-Anon, and you know, so it's really changed things at home. And like I said, you know, it has had a ripple effect. So other family members are using my language, and yeah, we're a much closer family now. We talk, you know, we communicate, we listen. I think the biggest thing for me is I realised everybody at home never felt heard. So we have started incorporating meetings into our week. We have an hour where we all sit down and we just ask each other, how are you feeling? How's your week been? And we do a reading from the Al-Anon beautiful literature. There's gorgeous literature, daily readers, which we have every morning. There's 4 daily readers that we have every day. So it's kind of like got a reading for every day. But there's 4 little mini books, and it's beautiful because somehow those readings will mean something different. I've been in Al-Anon now for 2-3 years, and every time I read a reading on a particular day, I'll get something else from it. I've started to make a connection with my higher power, and I think I will say that does deter people from coming to Al-Anon, because we feel we're a religious group, and we're not. We're a spiritual group. And as I said, I am powerless. It's proved I've been powerless. I couldn't control my daughter's drinking and addiction. So for me, if I can't control it, something else has. Because today, one day at a time, she is sober at the moment, you know, and I have to see, I mean, this has all been taken care of smoothly. The fact that I've come to Al-Anon, that's something brought me there. That's my higher power. And I'm not in control. Something else is.
But it's something that's really touched you, because obviously you've taken on the role of public information representative.
Yeah, and I think that was it for me. I felt that I didn't know about Al-Anon. I'd never heard of it before. As I said, I thought it was AA and thought it was a different word for it. But I want people to know about it, like doctor surgeries, you know, ambulance people that are in contact with that traumatic experience of addiction when it falls flat on its face. You know, people need to know there is help, there is support. There are people who, you know, have had your experiences too. You know, we all have had those experiences. And I think that is also, in addition to that, one of the extra beauties, that there's been some chaotic times I've seen. And as I said, when I was disclosing that to my friends and other members, the public, like family and friends, they didn't get it. But in Al-Anon, we can share it with other Al-Anon members, but everyone knows what you've been through without saying anything. You know, we don't need to go into detail sometimes.
It's a safe space wherever you're at that point.
We've all had that chaos. Yeah.
Graham, I know that sadly your wife has passed away, but you're still very much involved with Al-Anon, so it's obviously become a life's mission for you.
Well, it has in a little way, but it's quite strange, really. When my wife gave up drinking and found recovery, I stopped going to Al-Anon. That was in about 2010, because I thought it was like throwing a red rag to the bull. Well, what a mistake that was. That was a huge mistake. I can look back now and say, well, got that wrong. But when she died, I had a lot of time to sort of contemplate our life together. We've been married 40 odd years. And it was, you know, looking back at some good times. We had some great holidays and lovely time with the kids. And they were fantastic times, but also when I had those sort of quiet moments, I look back on the dark times, and the darkest time of all my life, and she had loads of illnesses, breast cancer and various other illnesses, but the darkest time of all was when she was an alcoholic, because she was in denial. And it was so, that's why sometimes Al-Anon becomes before AA, because people around your alcoholic know that there's a problem, but they can't see it. So I realised that maybe I should just go back for one meeting. So I had my little daily reading book, and there's various ones. Courage to Change is probably the most popular. But I had one day at a time at the time. So inside there I had some phone numbers from the group I belonged to. So I just picked the phone up and rang this lady and said, do you still meet? She said, yeah, how are you? And I said, yeah, not too bad. Okay, yeah, no, we still meet at the same time in the local town hall, which it was at the time. So I tripped along to the meeting, and suddenly I seen these faces that I knew. Not all of them, because there was new people there as well. So I went in and I got some really nice hugs from people and how are you doing? I explained about my wife and there was a lot of sympathy and empathy because other people had lost partners. And I sat down in the room and I thought, well, I'm going to share tonight. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to get my 5 pence worth out there. And there was a lady sitting sort of diagonally opposite to me and she said, oh, it's my sort of second meeting. And I'm still trying to find out how to stop my alcoholic drinking. And it was just like looking in a mirror. It was that sort of deja vu effect. This was my early meetings. That was me sitting there saying, I need to stop my alcoholic drinking. So I just thought maybe just by sharing how I'd taken my journey through Al-Anon and how important that was to me and my life, that I could do this again. And from there, which is now pretty well just over 6 years, I've been going pretty well every week. And I go every week because I still see new people coming into the rooms. I try to go other meetings. We try and talk about a little bit of Al-Anon tourism and sort of going to visit other groups, and that's nice. You know, some groups I've been to, I'll be honest, I don't get it. I just sit there and scratch my head and think, oh, I don't think I'll be coming back here. But there are rarities. I deal locally in Essex. There's some great groups in Essex. The Chelmsford groups and Colchester groups and Braintree, where I'm a member, and I just find that those people in those rooms, they've life experience, and I've learned so much from them, and I'm still learning today. And I know now that I can't change people. The only person I can change and got the opportunity to change is me. So by doing that, I'm finding that I get great personal satisfaction when meeting people. Some of the people that do the public information around here, it's just so important that these are good people, and the people I meet in those meetings are good people. And that's not to say alcoholics are bad people. It's just they're generally good people, because most people go to Al-Anon are carers, and we all care. We care about our alcoholic. And I'm a different person now. And if I hadn't lived through alcoholism, I don't know if I'd be the same person as I am today.
You spoke of a few areas there, but what's the reach of Al-Anon across Essex?
Right, well, they have meetings. I'm the coordinator for Area 5, which covers all of East Anglia. But for Essex, they have 2 meetings in Colchester. They have 2 in Chelmsford, 1 in Braintree, 1 in Brentwood, 1 in Basildon, 1 in Southend. I think that's covered. There's other areas which sort of go into the metropolitan area like Romford and Ilford, but so that's the reach of that. And so most nights you'll find a meeting in Essex. If you can't find one in Essex, you can always find an online meeting. There's 130 of those. So if you're conscious about being supported locally in case you bump into somebody you know, and I've never done that. So all the meetings I've been to, I've never bumped into anybody I know. Well, that's a bit untrue, because I met an alcoholic that I didn't know was an alcoholic, which came to share our meeting.
But the online way of doing it is benefiting a lot of people. Obviously, you've got people caring for problem drinkers that have got their own mobility issues, mental health, things like agoraphobia. So that may be a barrier. So the fact that you've got online is really helpful.
In addition, you can go across the world. So even if you don't want to stay in the UK, America, everywhere, there's meetings all over the world. And that's the beauty. Sometimes people go on holiday and they actually attend meetings in the country they're staying at, because they can actually feel their community, abroad. It's everywhere. So
such a strong sense of community and everything that you've both said with this. And admission to the meetings is free.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are fully self-supporting, so people can donate as they wish with their means, whatever they have.
And meetings are usually in the evening, are they?
There are daytime ones as well.
Yeah, absolutely, right through the days and the evenings. Also, the online meetings do help families. If you've got a young mother who's got children to look after, then they can attend an online meeting and without having to worry about childcare and everything else, which is highly expensive these days. Yeah. So, yes.
I will say as well, there's Al-Anon for teenagers.
Okay.
Yeah, young people who either their parents or siblings are suffering from alcoholism, under 18s, because the meetings don't permit you to come to attend in Al-Anon unless you're over 18. But Al-Anon is there for young children.
So is Al-Anon online and face-to-face as well?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think it's on face-to-face at the moment in locally at all. But online, you can attend Al-Anon meetings.
Yeah, you'll be taught 12 to 17.
12 to 17. There you go.
So if people are listening to this podcast and thinking, actually, I'd like to go along and find out what this is about, either face-to-face or online, how do they do that?
I would say they would search online alanon.co.uk and search for local meetings, and online meetings will all appear. Your preferences you can enter and call the helpline, which Graham is part of as well.
Yeah, the helpline's really important because with that you can actually, the person working on the helpline has also got contact details for that group, so you can actually pass on a name and that you can ring them up and say that you'd like to come along to the meeting, and then that will be sort of breaking the ice, so people don't walk into the room and see a load of strangers' faces looking at them and going, who the hell are you? So.
Are you able to give us any idea of the extent of problem drinking on a regional level?
Well, I've got some figures here, which is sort of a little bit disconcerting, really. You don't have to drink to suffer from alcoholism. It costs the NHS 3.5 billion a year, which is a lot of money. It's estimated that there are 3 million children in the UK living with a parental alcohol problem. Alcohol-related crime costs £7.3 billion a year. There are between 18 and 14 million working days lost. For every drinker, as I mentioned before, there are 5 others affected. Alcohol is estimated to cost the UK society more than 27 billion each year, including costs linked with health, crime and lost productivity. Young offenders abusing alcohol, 78% history of parental or drinking abuse. And one thing is, quite high on people's agendas these days is domestic violence. So they reckon that 73% of domestic violence has some alcohol relation. So all these things are out there and costing society, but the cost to the actual family members is immense. And just knowing that you're not alone. We're starting a campaign saying you're not alone in January, later in January this month. So at some point, just to let people know that they're not alone. Because that was my biggest problem. I was alone. I couldn't share with anybody. I just wanted to be wrapped up with trying to stop my alcoholic drinking, and I just couldn't bare my soul to anybody. But I could in Al-Anon because I just felt safe.
I think it's also important to remember, as far as domestic abuse is concerned, that alcoholism, problem drinking isn't just confined to the perpetrator of that abuse, but can also be a coping mechanism for those that are suffering as well. So
yeah, it's certainly a double-edged sword. It can be the alcoholic being violent, but it could be the non-alcoholic to the alcoholic being violent. So it's really difficult to sort of try and quantify that. But also, my attitude to my alcoholic, I was verbally abusive, and I can only apologise for that. But I did to my wife after she found recovery because of Al-Anon. It allowed me to do that apology. But before, I wanted to be coercive. I wanted to be controlling. I wanted to stop her drinking to the point of searching for the bottles and pouring the drink down the sink. I'm thinking, all right, that will solve her problem tonight. But all she'd do is go and buy another bottle. So it's just a fruitless exercise, really. And there are 4 things that sort of affect people. It can affect their mental health, and this is the person living with the alcoholic. It can affect them emotionally, and it can affect them financially. Some people get into serious financial debt because of drinking. And the worst one of all is that it can affect them physically, because nobody can condone any sort of violence in any way, shape, or form.
absolutely.
I'd like to add as well that for me, the biggest gift I've got is that I've actually learned to be a mother, not a doctor, solicitor, carer, fixer, politician. I actually am a mother, and my children now, they might deny it, but they actually choose to come and sit with me rather than me hunting them down to come and sit with me, you know, because I'm more approachable. Al-Anon's given me a wonderful gift, fabulous people, sponsor, friends, and, you know, it's given me peace in my day and a better relationship with my family.
That's an amazing gift, isn't it?
Very beautiful. I feel very fortunate.
Is there anything you'd say to anyone listening that thinks that they might want to reach out, Kaurina?
Please call the helpline, look online. There are people out there that understand it, and I think that's why I'm so passionate about being the public information rep for Colchester. I really want to spread the word out there. You know, you don't know about us, but we're there for you, just to have a safe space where you can be you and look after yourself.
Thank you. And if anyone listening would like to reach out to Healthwatch Essex's information and guidance line, we can obviously signpost onto you as well and help facilitate those conversations.
Yeah, Healthwatch Essex has been a good supporter of Al-Anon.
Yeah.
So I'd like to take the opportunity while you've really kindly invited us here today to thank you and your team
You've been brilliant. Thank you.
for working with us to sort of just try and raise the awareness. We're not there promoting, because if we were promoting, we'd guarantee success, and we can't do that. But if we make people aware of it, and then at least they've got the option to sort of say, yeah, I'll give that a go. And if they want to give it a go, that's fine. If they want to go for 6 meetings, that's great. If they go for one and they don't get results, then at the end of the day, that's, you know, we're still there.
We're still there.
Yeah.
We all need somebody to walk alongside us at points in our lives, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And
Thank you.
Al-Anon is there.
Right. Well, just to sort of contact with people, just to let them know, right? Confidentiality and your anonymity is maintained. Self-supporting, we accept no money from outside sources. Easy to access, no need to book. Non-religious, non-political. Free to attend, no registration required. Non-discriminating. Non-professional, and also having Al-Anon for 12 to 17-year-olds. You won't be judged, and we won't throw advice at you. We're not counsellors. We're just people suffering the same as probably you have. So that's my bit.
Lovely. For me, I would just like to add that I will keep attending Al-Anon. It's not something I can dip in and out of. And I know, Graham, you mentioned that you had a gap, and that is living proof as well how I need it, because I'm very likely to put those old comfy slippers back on and behave the way I did. And I know I need to keep in touch with the programme and keep coming back. Most of all, what I can do is keep the focus on me, keep working the steps, and use the tools of the programme, and that will lead me to serenity.
Thank you both very much. Just to give you a curveball at the end, we always end a podcast by asking our guests, what would be the title of your life story? You can have a joint one, or you can have one each, whatever works best.
Recovery as you didn't know it.
Yeah, I think expectations. I manage my expectations now much better than I could without Al-Anon, because expectations suddenly lead you down a rabbit hole.
Great Expectations has been copywritten, though, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, I know.
You'd need another one.
Oh, right.
Acceptance is a good one.
Yeah. I
Accept
think that,
what is.
Yeah, I think the 3 A's, which is really another part of the Al-Anon program, is awareness, acceptance, and action. And I was aware of my alcoholic, but I wasn't accepting that they were an alcoholic, because I just jumped the acceptance bit and went straight to action. So you need to do them in the right order.
Thank you both so much. It's been a really interesting conversation, and I'm sure that many other people will agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.